This is Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture, and we are back from our short break. I still have with me here some of the leadership of People's Power, the socio-economic and socio-political organization that is hitting our governmental space with a loud noise. Praise God. So you are welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to Eri House, Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture. Yes, we were in the last segment. We were talking about your idea of a social contract, as a means of effecting the change that we need. You said there's a need for a paradigm shift, and I suppose this is tied to the social contract that you have in mind. And now my thought is about the idea of the social contract, or rather its relationship with, as you said, a need for a paradigm shift. You have said that People's Power is a middleman. It's a middleman suspended between the governed and the governors. And that the problem you have identified is that the governors, let's use the analogy of fishing, they are telling the fish, we are going to give you rice. We are going to give you pounded yam because that's what the governors want. Meanwhile, they've not bothered to ask the fish whether they actually love pounded yam or they will prefer earthworm.
Exactly.
They will prefer earthworm.
Exactly.
So you are talking about getting the fisherman to come off his high horse and go to the fish and ask them what they really need. But now you have also introduced a problem there and a challenge that these people, they are not doing it because of the fish. They are not into this thing because of the fish. So they don't really care. They are thinking about themselves and things. So what do you think are the chances that these people will be willing to make that necessary shift in paradigms that will require them to now forego their own interests to begin to talk about the interest of the governed?
Well, I think if we look critically at where Nigeria is today as a nation, we'll discover that we have a problem. Why do we have so much dislocation? Practically every part of the country today. It's because the people are beginning to agitate. And what are they agitating for? If those who are saddled with leadership responsibility over the people are conscious enough, if they are not actually disjointed completely from the people, why do you have a situation where the people are crying wolf?
But what we're saying is already that's the fact on ground, But these people are fossilized. The people there, they are calcified in their thought. They know what they want and they are going for it. They don't care about the other people. So I suppose that what we are talking about now is to get them to recognize the needs of the people and pay attention.
Yes, of course.
It's obvious that they are not interested in that. So how will your organization as a middleman now force them or get them to change the paradigm, to make the paradigm shift?
Now, the people are actually responsible for whatever happens going forward. Remember, before now, what we have is a situation where we play money politics. It's all about manipulation.
And the money politics are still there, are they not? This coming election in 2023, they are still going to sell their votes for 5,000 and 3,000. And Gary?
Good. That is why we have been moving around, talking to the people, educating them, getting them to be enlightened, opening their minds to understand that, listen, this is where our problem lies. Until we understand the need to shift away, which is that paradigm shift,
Yes.
to shift away from this money-induced politics. We will remain where we are currently for a longer time to come in the nearest future. Because remember, we run 4-year cycle of elections.
Yes.
So, which means if you miss it this time, you're going to wait for another 4 years before you can begin to correct it. Yes. So we are like John the Baptist in the wilderness, crying, telling the people, sensitizing them, making them to understand that, listen, yes, you've been fooled before now. You've been made to believe that your vote doesn't count. But the truth remains that your vote counts, because it's, both ways. First of all, if you come out to vote and you stay on to ensure that your vote is counted, and you make sure that, thank God for social media today. I mean, gone are the days when somebody is just going to appear there and play some abracadabra. Today it will be captured, and before you know it, it will be sent, and it will be all over the place. So I believe that going forward, people are going to be more careful whatever they do on election day. So the onus is on the people to come out and vote, because if there is voter apathy, the truth will remain that the politicians will use that opportunity of that voter apathy.
I thank God you are bringing, because you are getting to the core of these things.
Yes.
I was going to ask you, as you are spreading this message, what reactions are you getting? You see, because Harriet Tubman said that she freed 1,000 people from slavery from the south to the north, that she would have freed 1,000 more if those 1,000 had only realized that they were slaves. You get it? So, but the question is, I'm asking, as you go about preaching this message, have you found that the people realize that they are slaves? Have you not found that it appears that they themselves are accomplices? They are enjoying their slavery. I
think there is even already a shift on ground before we came out, because I myself am amazed at the reactions that we're getting out there. People are tired. For instance, I can tell you something. Don't be deceived with this Soludo, what do they call it? Adoptions here and there. These people are just trying to draw money from some of these people. People are complaining. A lot of people are talking about...
They've always been complaining in Nigeria.
Well, they've always been complaining, but we've never had it this bad, if you will agree with me. So it's a sign that probably it's either it's getting to a breaking point, or it's getting to the point where there will be a change, which is the paradigm shift that we're hoping for. Because we are not hoping that we'll get to a point where it will get to a breaking point. We expect that the elasticity will continue to such a point that we'll be able to do what? To have that paradigm shift that we're praying and believing and preaching to them. So, if you ask if the people have realized that they need to move away from where they are today, the answer is yes. The only problem is who is willing to bail the cat out of the bag. Who is willing to make the necessary sacrifices required? Because this is an enormous job. Yes. And it requires a lot of sacrifices. You're going to spend money, you're going to spend time, and you know one thing, when you come on board, you will discover that the people are hungry. So even when you are trying to change the mass mentality, what about the ulcer in his stomach that is trying to eat him up? So God equipped us, gave us a leeway out of it, which is what? Instead of giving the people fish, we should now teach the people how to position themselves and get empowered away from where they are hoping to get empowered, which most times is falsehood.
Okay, is that the socioeconomic aspect of it? Okay, can we talk a little about, can we look at that a bit? What are your plans in that direction?
Okay, today businesses have moved away from physical locations. I mean, if you are waiting to rent a shop before you start a business, you may need to wait for a very long time. So, the social media is there, the online businesses are there, but specifically, we have chosen to pick on networking. You know, because businesses have moved on to people now, away from physical locations. I mean, that's why you can have things like Jumia and what have you, you know, the rest of it. I mean, so we are actually putting the people on networks where they will now begin to make money for themselves. And these are businesses that you can actually start with little or nothing. So you're not waiting until you get one huge capital before you'll be able to start off. So that's one of the things we're looking at.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Actually,